Hello everyone. In this series, we will learn everything you need to know in order to script in Roblox. So for this episode, we'll get used to the basics of Roblox Studio and how to make our first script. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when the next video comes out. Alright, so now that we have all that out the way, we can go over the basics of Roblox Studio. So the first thing I want to show you is these basic tools: the select, move, scale, and rotate tool. These allow you to move, scale, and rotate, and select your parts or your objects in the game. Self-explanatory. But first we're going to need an object. So how about we create an object? We can either click this right here, part, and we can scroll down and get more options. But for now, we're gonna go to the Explorer. We're gonna go over to Workspace, and we're gonna click this arrow or this plus sign. Now, once you have this, you're gonna either click part, or you can always search the object too. But for now, we're just gonna click the part since it's already here. So once you have this, you can press F to inspect it, which will just basically give you a view of the part, and that'll just give you a view of the part. Yeah. So now we have this. Now we can use these tools: the select, the move, and the scale and the rotate. So the move, it just moves the part. Now this is moved in by studs. So for Roblox movement is like studs, not like inches or centimeters or anything. They use studs. So we can move this. We can move this up. We can move this maybe side to side. We can move it this way too. You can really move it anyway. Now let's also go over scale. What the scale does, it just changes the size of something. So maybe you want a building. You can make a big old base right here. Now you got a basic building. Now this isn't a masterpiece or anything, but it doesn't need to be. Nothing that you create in the beginning needs to be a masterpiece. So now that we have that, now that we know how to scale, let's also go over how to rotate. Now maybe you want to make something more advanced than just something of parts. Well, it's all parts, but you can rotate it as well, and this will just change the orientation of the part. Now, let's go over the properties. So what are properties? Well, think of it as a tree. Well, see, you have a blue or brown, or you have a certain color eyes. Your eyes are a certain color because of DNA. Well, let's think of these as that. So let's say this has a white trait right now, or a medium gray, stone gray trait. Now, maybe you want it to be red. We just changed its color to red. Think of it as a tree, as I said. We also have this material. We can change the material to be glass, ice, or maybe even brick. Let's make a brick, and let's make it red to look like brick. Alright, so now we have like sort of a brick wall. Now we can also change the size with the properties, or the position with the properties. We can do anything. So let's maybe change the size along the Y. We can change that to maybe, let's make it 10. And look, it just changed the size like that. It's the same thing as this, but with properties, and it can be a lot more exact sometimes. So let's also maybe change the position. So I want to go over to origin, and the origin is where everything begins. I guess we could put it that way. So let's say we put it 0, 0, 0. This is the origin, and that will put it in the middle. So this is the middle of the game right here. So I don't know, maybe you wanted to change the player's position to the origin, for example. You can do anything. So let's do can collide. So can collide just makes it if you can collide or not. So since you have this checked off, it would just fall through the ground because there's no collision. unless we anchored it, which is a great time to go over the anchored property. The anchored property just allows something to stay upright. Like, say we have it in the sky. If it isn't anchored, it'll fall down. Physics will affect it if it isn't anchored. However, let me actually demonstrate this. Let's run. You can see it falls, and it does go straight to the ground because it can't collide. And we can, but how about we anchor it? So let's select it and then anchor either through here or the properties, and let's run. And as you see, it stays where it was. It doesn't fall. So that's really all you need to know for the properties. How about we learn about our Explorer? What is our Explorer? This is literally your whole game. Everything in your game will be in your Explorer, unless you're using something from another website and scripting, but you probably won't need to. At least not for the basics or anything. So let's go over the workspace. What is the workspace? Well, this is the workspace. So that's where everything is, just in a UI sort of form. Like, it's more of it like a UI instead of actual game objects all around. So what we can do is we can select our part through here. So we can either do it in this viewport or the Explorer. So that's what the workspace is. The players is where all the players will be. So maybe a player joins, they will be stored in here. The lighting is where things like the sun, the atmosphere, maybe you have a blur visual effect, that's where that will be. That's where everything that has to do with lighting and lighting up the scene will be. Now we also have replicate first. You don't really need to know what this is, but just know it loads before replicated storage. Speaking of, what is replicated storage? Well, this is where you store things in your game, maybe particles or game objects like a car, and you can take them out of replicated storage and put them into a workspace. That's what that basically is. It's basically just a storage unit where you can grab things and put things. Now, we also have server scripts service. This is where all your scripts will be. So maybe I could create a script right here, and that's where all your scripts go. And we'll be more in depth in that as we are learning scripting. Server storage is just a place where the server can store things, I guess. I actually don't really know, I never use this, but eventually I'm sure I can tell you. If you have that question in the comments, just say that, what is server storage, I'll give you an answer, but just not in the video. So, starter GUI. This is where all your UI, such as, we can, for example, if you want UI, it has to be a screen GUI, in starter GUI, by the way. We're going to create a frame. In this frame, you can resize it, change the color, maybe, I don't know, weird green for some reason, maybe cache or something. And this will sort of be right here. Alright. So that's basically what starter GUI is. We also have starter pack. This is where, like, your tools will go, most likely. This is most likely they're gonna put here, probably, at least from what I experienced. So you have your tools, and your tool, you can name this whatever you want. My awesome tool. Let's name it my awesome tool. And we can go into the game, and we can see, once it loads, we have our my awesome tool. And obviously it does nothing, but you can always script it to do something. But anyways, that's what that is. So we also have starter player. So this is just what happens either when their character loads or the player joins. You don't need to exactly understand this, but this happens when the character loads. This happens when the player joins or loads, whichever one. this is the teams. This is where all your teams, like say you have a blue versus red, you would click this, make a team, and name this whatever you want. And you obviously have properties. So yeah, that's what that is. All it has is really a team color and auto signable and a name. So that's really all you have to know about that. Sound service, you can put sounds in here, maybe footsteps. Chat, this is just chat. You don't really even need to know most of these, but you might need it for, I don't know, maybe get the server region or something. I'm pretty sure that's what it's for. Test service, I don't know, and I don't know what chat is either, but that's all for the Explorer. So now that we know this, and that you put scripts in script service, at least for most of the time, sometimes you put them in starter player, or maybe starter UI or workspace. So now that we know you create scripts in script service, or at least most of them, you can put them in workspace, you can put them in starter pack, maybe even starter UI a lot of the time. But you could create a script by pressing plus, like we said earlier, and then create a script by just pressing script. As you can see, we already have print hello world. Every script will have this. It's normal. I mean, I don't know, just don't get it confused with a virus. I mean, I don't know why you would, but I don't know, maybe you do. But yeah, so we're gonna write our first line of code. So we're gonna print hello world. Alright, now that we went over, so what this will do is essentially we're calling the print function, and then we're writing a string. So whenever you're writing a string, you put it in either quotations, or I don't know what this is called, but it's just like a single quote or something. So whenever you have a string, which is just a string of text, you will wrap it in quotations or single quotes, whatever they're called. So let's run this, and as you see, when we run it, it prints hello world. Now let me explain what the output is, since we're using it. You're always going to need the output, whether it's for debugging, or maybe you want it like a calculator that you only want to use, and it'll print in the output. So I mean, you could literally print out math problems. You could essentially use this as a calculator, but I'd suggest just, pressing the Windows key and then searching calculator. But anyways, that's off topic. But yeah, we just printed hello world. The output is essentially where all your errors, all your print statements, and whatever you put in there will go. So output, let's say, for example, let's remove the I from print, and maybe remove the bracket from hello world. This will actually create an error because the script does not recognize it. So let's press run, and look, we get an error. This is where our errors will go, and so basically the output's your friend, but you also might hate it sometimes, because it's telling you, hey, your script ain't working. Who wouldn't be mad? Maybe you wrote like 10,000 lines of code, and now you have to look through all of them. I mean, it tells you what line, but you might have to fix like 100 lines. But yeah, that's where all your errors will go. It'll go in the output. So I'm actually going to show you how you can fix errors that you maybe don't understand. You can press copy, right click, copy, or Control C. I'm just going to do this for now, for simplicity. And we're going to go to your browser, and you're going to paste it. And you should find plenty of resources. Usually the first resource is fine, but you might have to scroll down. So let's just see. Now obviously no one's going to have issue of printing, but you can still find some resources on how to fix it here. So yeah. So let's fix this real quick. And obviously, well, first stop. If you don't stop, it'll just won't save most likely. Sometimes it does. It doesn't usually do it though. So just make sure you're not in the actual game. Okay guys, that's it for the basics. I hope that was clear enough. I know I was a bit stuttery there, unless I edit that out, but you know, if I was a bit stuttery at some points, then it's probably because it's my first time, I'm a bit anxious. But I hope it was clear enough. If it wasn't, just tell me in the comments. I'll make sure I answer every comment, or at least I'll try. And I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss another video, or maybe when the next video comes out. Bye.